This video is going to go along with your chapter in your book on marking up text. I'm going to finish that up now. So I'm not going to cover everything that's in that chapter. I want you to go through that on your own. This is going to kind of just be like a little bit of a guide to get you set up. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm here in Dreamweaver and I have my last site that I was working on open. And I want to define a new site. So I'm going to go outside of Dreamweaver, go into my folders, and I'm in my folder, Web Art Design, and I'm going to create a new folder for this practice. And this is the same I'd like you to do. And I'll call it Text Practice. And close that out. And now back in Dreamweaver, I'm going to go up to Site, New Site, and I'm going to call it Text Markup. That's just so to show that it has a different name, so to not confuse. Remember, what's here in the site name, no one can see. Local site folder, that's where I'm going to browse and choose Text Practice and click on Select Folder, Save. And here I am. I still have that startup window, and I'm going to create my first page. So it's just pointing to my empty folder. That's all. I'm going to right click and choose New File. And my home page, I'm going to use that standard syntax, which is called my homepage index. So I'm going to call this one index.html. And on this page, we're going to just use this as a navigation. I can write a little bit of intro text, but we're going to use this page to navigate to a whole bunch of different pages we're going to create that are just going to be sample pages for you to have to practice using different types of markup. So our navigation is going to have headings, and I'm using that vertical bar, which is the backslash and the shift key. Headings. Next one is going to be called over under. Over and under. The next one is going to call quotes. And then abbreviations. And delete. I should use that. Capitalize everything else. Delete. And that's it. Okay, so now I'm going to create those additional pages. I can right click on Index or on Site and choose New File. And this one I'm going to call Headings.html. And now I'll use the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-N. And this one is going to be over under. Notice I'm not putting any spaces in my actual HTML pages. Create another one, Control-Shift-N, quotes.html. Control-Shift-N. I'll just write this one, abbrev, and Control-Shift-N for my last one, which is going to be delete. So now, I'm still just on my index page. I'm going to, I do need to have a home page, don't I? Sorry. So let's put in home. Great. And now I can start doing my links. So home is going to link to index. I'm going to use my point to file. Drag it to index. Heading will link to heading.html. Over under will link to over under.html. Quotes. You get the general idea. I really should speed this up or cut this out so you don't have to watch me doing all of this, but I'll just do this quickly. And delete. Great. So now what I can do, now that I have a navigation that has links in it, I'm going to copy this, go over to my other pages, and paste that in. So this is even a shorter shortcut than what I did in the other video, where I had you do this for every single one of the pages. Okay. Now the disadvantage is if I needed to make any changes, I have to go back and I have to do it to everything. But I'm going to do File, Save All, and so now I have all my pages with the exact same navigation. I can go through my tabs, and they're here, and I just need to set up my examples. So I'm going to pause this video for a second and then come back. I'm actually going to set up some of my pages so you don't have to spend the video watching me type things up. So coming back now, I have my pages set up so you don't have to watch me type everything in. And I'm here on the index page, and I just added a little bit of text here. And if I'm going to switch over to view just the code view, to review, so here's the actual word, home, that you're going to see on the page. Headings, and just to review what happens once I make text into a link, it gets wrapped in the A tag. So here's my starting A tag, goes all the way to right here, and what's in it, it says A href equals, and then within quotes, the page, the HTML page that this word headings is going to link to, and then I have my closing A tag, and then you can see the same for the next one. So I just want you to kind of, you can work in design view, but also always pay attention in code view what's really happening. I'll switch back over to the split view. And remember, make sure you're not in the live view because then you can't edit. So I have code, split, and design. So I'm going to start with the headings page, and I already have them all open over here. And I added some text, so you may want to pause for a moment and add your text. This says, I would like to be heading 1, I would like to be heading 2, heading 3, and I don't want to be a heading. If I look over in my code view, I can see that they're all currently formatted as paragraphs. They all have the P tag wrapped around them. And remember, how is that going to look is just going to depend on whatever default settings that browser has, because I haven't used any CSS yet to define the style, the look of the paragraph tag. And in the other video, I talked about using the page properties to set up the style for my paragraph. If I go to page properties, and I'm right here on my appearance category, when I set the font here and the font size and the font color and so on and so forth, it's going to, I hit OK, it's going to add some CSS onto my page. And it's saying basically everything that's on the body of my document, everything that's within the body tags, will have this kind of text at this kind of size to it. And then, of course, if there's something more specific, such as a heading, I can write a rule that's going to apply just to the heading. So that's what we were talking about before. And I'm going to delete this now. And let's talk about how to just put that in yourself into the code view. So if I'm going to write some CSS, I need to start with the opening style tags. And I just want to point out, as you can see here, as I start to type, I get the code helper. So I'm going to use the code helper just using my arrow key and hit the enter to take that. Notice I have an opening style tag, and everything below became that kind of pink fuchsia color because I need to have a closing tag. But style, and I'm going to start in type, and I get the code helper, and I get the choices of type, and we want text equals CSS. And now I'm going to close that out with my greater than bracket, and I'm going to come down and put in a closing style tag. So that's my less than bracket, my less than bracket, and the /, and as soon as I do that, then Dreamweaver finishes that closing tag for me. And so now that I have a closing style tag, the rest of my code goes back into its normal color zone. So that's just something to pay attention to. If everything is pink, then you probably don't have a closing style tag. So now I've set up my page. I'm within my head tags, and I have an opening style tag and a closing style tag. And now I can start writing rules for the specific HTML that I want to target. So let's start with the H1. So I'm just going to type in H1 space open curly bracket, and I'm going to come down a line. And here I get my code helpers that show me all the things that I could possibly want to assign to my H1. And what I want to assign is the font family. So I'm going to start typing in F, O, and then I get that list there. I'm going to choose font family, hit the enter key, and it finishes typing out font family for me and adds the colon that is needed. And here I have that same list. So I'm just going to choose any one of these. It's really just for the sake of practice. I'm going to hit the enter key. But now what I do need to add is the semicolon. So at the end of each one of my attributes I'm going to just switch to the code view so it's easier to see. I do need a semicolon. And now I'm going to come down a line. And so let's add font size. So I start typing in font, and I can pick font size. And I'm going to pick 36 pixels and put in my semicolon. And I could add, I could sort of keep going and adding other things there from font, but that's going to be enough for now. So now I'm just going to close this out by adding a closing curly bracket. So let's switch back over to the split view, and once I click over into here, nothing's changed. Well, why is nothing changed? Because these are formatted as paragraphs. So I can change this to be a heading 1 in 2 ways. Remember, I can highlight this and go down to Format and choose Heading 1. And now it took on the attributes that I assigned up here. So we'll do another one, and we'll change it into a Heading 2 directly into the code. So now let's write a rule for an H2. And same thing, open curly bracket. And I'll choose a different font family this time so we can see the difference. And this is impact. It's not really what I would choose, but it's going to fine for this. So my semicolon, and I'll choose the font size. Remember, heading 2 should be smaller. So I'm going to make it 24 pixels, but I could put in a different number. I could put in 30 pixels. I'm not limited to this number here. And closing curly bracket. Click over here. Nothing has changed because this is formatted as a paragraph. So the one that says heading 2, I'm now going to do this in my code. I could do it through format paragraph or format heading 2, but I'm going to do it through the code. And I'll just make this into an H2. An H2. Here we go, and I click over here, and now it's taken on those attributes. So let's do one more. Let's set up a rule. H3 and font family. Pick a different font family so we can always see the difference. Add the semicolon, font size, and I will make this one smaller, so 18 pixels. Add my semicolon, closing curly bracket. Oh, sorry, actually I'm going to add one more thing. Let's add go back here, and I'm going to add color. So that way I can make this one a different color. So when I choose color, I'm going to use my code helper, and double click color. Oh, sorry, I lost that there. I want to get my code helper, so I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to go back up to here. If you don't have your code tips, go to the last line, hit the enter key, and you can start typing. You'll get the code helpers again. Choose color, and I'm going to choose that color picker. It keeps disappearing on me. That's no fun. Let's do that again. Choose color. Okay, for some reason it's not behaving. Alright, let's see if I put in red. And I will talk about all the different color attributes again. I will talk about all the different color attributes in another video. Right now, let's see if that works. H3, and make this in H3. And there it is, and it's red. So there are a whole bunch of different ways that you can add color, and I'll talk about that in a whole other video. But one way is if it's I think there are about 16 different colors that you can simply write in: black, white, red. Okay, so lastly is my paragraph. This one says I don't want to be a heading, so we're just going to make it a paragraph. So let's write a rule that targets the P tag. So P for paragraph, curly bracket, and choose font family. And I will pick something different that I haven't picked so far. And I'll pick a size. I'll pick 14 pixels. And that's enough. And now when I click over to here, it took on those attributes because it was already targeting a paragraph. So what we saw in the other videos, page properties allows me to target everything on my page because it actually targets the body tag. So that's everything within the body tag. What we did here was a little bit more specific. We targeted just the paragraph tag. Then we wrote a rule for each one of our headings. So the advantage of doing it like this was we were allowed to make each one of our headings a different font family and a different color and a different size. If, though, we wanted all of our headings to be the same font family, I could write a rule that targeted with just a comma. So H2, comma, H3, and then all of them would have the same attributes applied to them that I have listed within that rule. Okay, so that was just kind of your first intro to writing some rules, targeting different HTML tags, and doing it directly into the code view. So this is my heading page. I'm going to save this page. And now I'm going to go to my over-under page. And remember, we copied that navigation bar, so from every page I should be able to get to everything. I should be able to get to every page from anywhere. So on this one, this is something that's directly covered in your book. We have added the subscript and superscript tag. So I just want to point out how this works. So I want TH to be up a little bit higher. So I've wrapped it in the soup tag, and I want the 2 for CO2 to go a little bit lower. So I've wrapped it in the subtag. So if I just did something like that, let's go directly into the code view, and I'm going to put in opening paragraph, and I will type in my name, Kira, and closing tag. So now let's make the Y go up. So I'll put in an opening SUP tag, and then right after the Y, a closing SUP tag. And notice that Dreamweaver does it for me. I just start to put in the slash, and then I'll make the A go down. So same thing, SUB. Oh, did it? Yes. And then after the A, I'll put in my closing. Let's click over into the design tag, and now we can see how I can rearrange the letters of my name. Okay, so I'll save this page. And coming over to the quotes page, I already have 2 quotes set up here. So let's talk about the block quotes and a regular quote tag. And the other thing that I have set up here in this page already is I wrote a style that targets the Q tag, which is for the quote. So here it says some people talk to animals. So that's a quote. So it's letting the browser know that it's a quote. And remember, and this is mentioned in your book, it helps screen readers. It also helps search engines. So maybe someone is searching for a particular quote, and if you have this quote wrapped in the tags, the Q tag, then it's going to let the browser know that this is a quote. So it's giving information to browsers that can be helpful when people are trying to find information from your website. So, but you can style these things as well. So in terms of the block quote, I have here, I wrap this text into the block quote, and the way that the browser is going to present that is it does indent it already. I'll just take the block quote out and just leave it as a paragraph, and we move back over here, and it's no longer indented. So that is something that is added, but I can still write a rule for that block quote that changes it. So if I go up here into my styles, I'm going to click after my last curly bracket, but I'm staying within my closing style tag. I can write a rule for block quote, open curly bracket, and come down, and let's just say anything that isn't within the block quote tags, I want to change its color to be, and I'll just do red again, red, and closing curly bracket. So, oh, that was not a curly bracket. There we go. And so now when I click over to here, that block quote is red. So I'm using the quotes to mark up my page so that browsers and screen readers can identify this as not just regular text, but what it is. But then just what I wanted to show you is the next step is I can style it. So I can add a color to anything that has the Q tag, and I can add a color to anything that has the block quote. But in the same hand, I could also change the font. So let's say if anything that has the block quote tags around it, I wanted to have a different font family. And I'll choose this one, and add my semicolon and close the curly bracket. And so now it has a different font family. Okay, and just to kind of illustrate this one more time, I'm going to I'll take this text here that's within my quotes. I'm going to copy this, and I'll paste it down here. But instead of being in quotes, I'll put it within the block quote. So if I click over here, sorry, I'll undo this, you'll see that it's repeated and it looks the exact same. But now what I'm going to do is I'll switch it to the block quote, and we'll see how it's going to take on the attributes of block quote and not of quote. Assuming that I'm spelling everything correctly. Yes. Okay. So now, just because it has that tag wrapped around it, block quote, and I've written a rule that says, hey, anything that has block quote written around it look like this, or wrapped around it. All right. So this page is done. I'm going to save it. Abbreviation. Let's just preview this one in a browser, Firefox. So NASA, so the abbreviation works. I hover over it and I can get the what the acronym stands for, and that can be quite useful. I'll switch over to code view so we can see how this works. This is working with two things. I have the ABBR tag, the abbrev tag, wrapped around it, but then I have the title tag inside it. So the title tag is something you're going to end up using a whole bunch. So this is a great intro to working with the title tag. And the title tag is always going to do that. Let's say I have an image, and I want when a person hovers over that image to be able to get a little description of that image. I can do that with the title tag. So all you need to do is within this opening abbrev tag, so I have, notice my tag hasn't closed yet, it closes here. So it opens, I have abbrev space title equals, and whatever is within quotes right here is what's going to appear when the person hovers over that text. And then I have, after the text, that's the acronym, the abbreviation, I have my closing tag. And the last is the delete, and you can go through in your book, you have, there are a whole bunch that sort of do the similar things here. So I really just want you to set up a page that has a couple of these things here. I go into the code view, and we can see, so my favorite color is deleted. I've put the delete tags around blue, and then inserted is what this stands for, INS, red. And when we're looking over here, the result is it crosses out blue and it underlines red. And there's also an S tag, the strike through tag, which does something similar. So I would like you to set up all of these pages and to do all of these practices yourself so you have them as references to be able to come back to. And then lastly, we need to just make sure, oops, I did not mean to hit that. We need to make sure that they are working in the browser, and so I just want you to go through and to make sure that every single page, you can get to every page from any page. We can go back to our home here, and this will just be a good practice. You can take it a little bit further, do some more styling. So any tag, for example, that you're looking at, like I'm over here, and why not write a rule that's for the delete tag and just say any text that has the delete tag, make it red, for example. So go up here, add your opening and closing style tags, DLE, opening curly bracket, and then whatever attributes you want to have, closing curly bracket. So just try to test that out. All right, have fun, go practice.